Have you ever wondered about the true depths of creation's mystery? Throughout human history, ancient texts have spoken of beings that existed before mankind, powerful entities called the sons of God, who witnessed the very foundation of earth itself. This profound revelation, hidden within the pages of sacred texts, challenges our fundamental understanding of humanity's origins. As we delve into the Book of Job, we encounter a remarkable passage where God asks, "Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth, when the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy?" This striking question unveils an extraordinary truth. Before Adam was formed from dust, before Eden bloomed into existence, these divine beings were already present, watching as our world took shape. Today, we stand at the threshold of understanding one of the most significant yet rarely discussed mysteries in religious history. The existence of these pre-Adamic beings raises profound questions about our place in creation's grand design. Were they the original stewards of earth? What role did they play in the divine plan? And perhaps most importantly, why has this knowledge remained in the shadows of theological discourse for so long? The term sons of God appears multiple times throughout ancient biblical texts, each reference adding depth to their significance in divine history. In Hebrew, they are called Bene Elohim, a phrase that denotes beings of extraordinary divine status. These references aren't mere poetic expressions. They appear in crucial historical accounts and prophetic writings. The most detailed mentions come from three primary sources: the Book of Job, which places them at creation's dawn; Genesis, which describes their interactions with humanity; and ancient Hebrew writings that elaborate on their nature and purpose. These sources paint a picture of beings who held positions of divine authority and possessed deep understanding of cosmic order. Their presence raises fundamental questions about the hierarchical structure of creation and humanity's role within it. Understanding who these beings were becomes crucial to comprehending the full scope of religious history and its implications for our understanding of divine purpose. In the chapters that follow, we will embark on a comprehensive exploration of this ancient mystery. Through careful examination of historical texts, theological interpretations, and preserved ancient traditions, we will uncover the profound significance of the sons of God in divine history. Our journey will traverse through the earliest moments of creation, examining their role as witnesses to the earth's foundation. We will explore three distinct interpretations that scholars and religious authorities have proposed throughout history regarding their identity and purpose. Furthermore, we will investigate the complex relationship between these beings and early humanity, including the dramatic events that led to significant changes in Earth's history. This exploration isn't merely academic. It holds deep implications for our understanding of divine hierarchy, human purpose, and the intricate relationship between heaven and earth. The knowledge we uncover may reshape our perspective on humanity's place in creation's grand design. The foundational evidence for the sons of God emerges from several authoritative ancient texts, each providing unique insights into their nature and purpose. The Book of Job, considered one of the oldest biblical texts, provides our earliest reference. In Job 38:4-7, we encounter the divine questioning that places these beings at creation's beginning. "Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth, when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy?" The Hebrew manuscripts use specific terminology that deserves careful examination. The phrase Bene Elohim appears in multiple contexts, consistently referring to beings of divine association. In Genesis 6:1-4, we find another significant reference. "The sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took wives from among those they chose." This passage establishes their interaction with the human realm. Ancient Hebrew commentaries, particularly the Targums and Midrashic texts, provide additional context. These interpretative works suggest that the sons of God held positions of divine authority, serving as witnesses to creation and executors of divine will. The Dead Sea Scrolls, particularly the fragments relating to the Book of Enoch, offer supplementary details about their roles and responsibilities in the divine order. These varied textual sources create a consistent narrative of beings who existed within a celestial hierarchy, possessed divine authority, and played significant roles in early human history. The concept of divine beings interacting with humanity appears consistently across various ancient civilizations, offering valuable comparative perspectives to our understanding of the sons of God. The Mesopotamian civilization, particularly in Sumerian texts, speaks of divine beings who served as intermediaries between the gods and humans. These texts describe them as guardians of divine knowledge and cosmic order, paralleling the roles attributed to the sons of God in Hebrew texts. Egyptian religious manuscripts present the concept of divine councils and celestial beings who witnessed the world's creation. The Egyptian Book of the Dead describes divine beings who served as judges and witnesses to human affairs, sharing remarkable similarities with the biblical descriptions of the sons of God's supervisory roles. Ancient Persian texts, particularly the Avestan scriptures, contain accounts of divine beings called Amesha who served as guardians of creation and maintainers of cosmic order. These beings, like the sons of God, were described as having existed before the creation of humanity and holding positions of divine authority. The consistency of these parallel accounts across independent ancient civilizations provides valuable context for understanding how different cultures perceived and documented divine hierarchies. These comparative sources demonstrate that the concept of celestial beings serving as witnesses to creation and intermediaries between divine and human realms was widely acknowledged in the ancient world. Archaeological discoveries provide tangible evidence supporting the historical context in which texts about the sons of God were written. Ancient temples and religious structures across Mesopotamia contain inscriptions and artistic depictions of divine beings serving as witnesses to significant events. The Temple of Ur, dating back to approximately 2100 BCE, features wall carvings depicting celestial beings in positions of authority over human affairs. Particularly significant are the archaeological findings from ancient Hebrew sites. Excavations at Qumran, where the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered, have yielded numerous artifacts containing references to divine hierarchies. These include pottery fragments with inscriptions mentioning the Bene Elohim, and architectural elements suggesting spaces dedicated to contemplating celestial orders. Religious artifacts from the First Temple period in Jerusalem contain symbolic representations of divine councils and celestial beings. These archaeological findings align chronologically with the period when many of the biblical texts referencing the sons of God were written, providing historical context for their documentation. In Egypt, temple complexes from the Old Kingdom period feature hieroglyphic inscriptions describing divine beings who witnessed creation and maintained cosmic order. These archaeological discoveries demonstrate how deeply embedded these concepts were in ancient religious practices and beliefs, supporting the textual references we find in religious manuscripts. These physical artifacts provide crucial historical context for understanding how ancient civilizations documented and represented their beliefs about divine beings and celestial hierarchies. Throughout ancient historical records, several significant events align with the periods when the sons of God were prominently mentioned in religious texts. The Great Flood narrative, documented across multiple ancient civilizations, represents one of the most significant historical events connected to these divine beings. Ancient Sumerian tablets, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and Hebrew texts all preserve accounts of this catastrophic event, often linking it to divine intervention. The period of the First Temple in Jerusalem, circa 960 to 586 BCE, marked a crucial era when many texts referencing the sons of God were formally documented. Historical records from this period show intensive scholarly activity focused on understanding divine hierarchies and celestial orders. The destruction of the First Temple, recorded in multiple historical sources, coincided with a period of increased documentation about divine beings and their roles. During the Babylonian exile, 586 to 539 BCE, Jewish scholars produced significant writings exploring the nature of divine beings, including detailed accounts of the sons of God. This period of intense theological reflection resulted in numerous texts examining celestial hierarchies and their relationship to human affairs. The emergence of various religious texts during the Second Temple period, 516 to 70 CE, further elaborated on these divine beings. Historical records show this was a time of profound theological development, with multiple schools of thought exploring and documenting understandings of celestial beings and their roles in divine order. The most widely accepted interpretation among theological scholars posits that the sons of God were angelic beings, a theory supported by multiple biblical texts and ancient religious commentaries. This interpretation merits careful examination through both scriptural evidence and traditional religious scholarship. The primary biblical support for the angelic interpretation comes from the Book of Job, where the sons of God are depicted in God's divine court. Their presence at creation's foundation and their ability to directly witness divine acts suggests beings of celestial nature. The Hebrew term, Bene Elohim, used in these passages is consistently associated with angelic beings throughout other biblical texts. Religious scholars point to specific characteristics attributed to these beings that align with traditional understanding of angels. Like angels, the sons of God are described as having direct access to divine presence, possessing supernatural knowledge, and serving as messengers between divine and earthly realms. The Book of Psalms reinforces this connection, describing heavenly beings who serve in God's presence in terms similar to those used for the sons of God. Ancient Jewish commentaries, particularly the writings of Philo of Alexandria and the Dead Sea Scrolls, explicitly identify the sons of God as angelic beings. These texts describe them as part of a celestial hierarchy, serving specific divine purposes and maintaining cosmic order. The Targums, authoritative Aramaic translations of Hebrew scripture, consistently render Bene Elohim as references to angels. This interpretation gains further support from early Christian writings. The New Testament epistle of Jude makes reference to angels who left their proper dwelling, widely understood as an allusion to the sons of God narrative. Early church fathers, including Augustine and Justin Martyr, endorsed the angelic interpretation in their theological works. Traditional rabbinic literature provides additional context, describing these beings as angels created during the first days of creation, explaining their presence at the world's foundation. These sources detail their roles as witnesses to creation and servants in the divine court, functions traditionally associated with angelic beings. The second major interpretation regarding the sons of God suggests they were pre-existent souls created before the physical world. This theory finds support in various religious texts and traditional theological interpretations that speak of spiritual existence preceding physical creation. The foundation for this interpretation emerges from several biblical passages, particularly Jeremiah 1:5, which states, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I consecrated you." This divine declaration suggests the possibility of spiritual existence before physical manifestation. Similarly, the Book of Proverbs speaks of wisdom existing before the beginning, hinting at pre-physical spiritual reality. Ancient Jewish mystical traditions, particularly those preserved in the Kabbalah, elaborate on this concept. These texts describe a realm of spiritual existence where souls dwelt in divine presence before their earthly manifestation. The sons of God, according to this interpretation, represented the first and highest order of these pre-existent souls, granted special privileges and responsibilities in the divine court. Traditional rabbinic commentaries provide additional support for this theory. Several prominent rabbinical scholars, including Nachmanides, suggested that the sons of God possessed a unique spiritual nature that predated physical creation. These interpretations propose that their presence at creation's foundation stemmed from their status as primordial spiritual beings. The pre-existent souls theory also finds resonance in early Christian theological writings. Origen of Alexandria, a significant early Christian theologian, wrote extensively about the pre-existence of souls, suggesting that spiritual beings witnessed creation before taking physical form. His writings propose that the sons of God may represent these primordial spiritual entities. This interpretation offers a compelling explanation for their ability to witness creation's beginning and their special status in divine hierarchy. It suggests that these beings possessed a unique spiritual nature that allowed them to exist in both divine and earthly realms, explaining their later interactions with humanity as described in Genesis. The third significant interpretation, known as the gap theory, suggests that Genesis 1:1 and 1:2 contain a crucial interval that may explain the presence of the sons of God. This interpretation focuses on careful analysis of the original Hebrew text and traditional religious scholarship. Genesis 1:1 states, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth," while verse 2 continues, "And the earth was without form and void." Traditional Hebrew scholars note that the word translated as was, haya, can also mean became, suggesting a possible transformation from one state to another. This linguistic analysis opens the possibility of events occurring between these two verses. Ancient Hebrew commentaries, particularly those from the medieval period, discuss this interpretative possibility. Notable scholars such as Rashi and Ibn Ezra commented on the unusual grammatical structure of these verses, suggesting they might indicate a more complex sequence of events than initially apparent. Their writings propose that the description, without form and void, might represent a state of change rather than initial creation. The gap theory finds additional support in prophetic texts. Isaiah 45:18 states that God did not create the earth to be empty, tohu, using the same Hebrew word found in Genesis 1:2. This apparent contradiction has led scholars to suggest that the emptiness described in Genesis might represent an altered state rather than the original creation. This interpretation provides context for the sons of God's presence at creation's foundation. If there existed a significant period between initial creation and the events described in Genesis 1 birth 2, these beings might have been part of that earlier period, explaining their ability to witness the events described in Job 38. Traditional religious texts, including various midrashic sources, contain references to divine orders and creations that preceded the current world. These sources suggest that the sons of God might have been established during this earlier period, serving as witnesses to subsequent creative acts. When examining these three major interpretations of the sons of God, each theory presents distinct theological insights while addressing different aspects of the biblical narrative. A comparative analysis reveals both their individual strengths and their potential complementary nature. The angel theory provides the most straightforward alignment with traditional biblical interpretation. Its strength lies in the consistent scriptural references to divine beings serving in God's presence and the widespread acceptance among early religious scholars. This interpretation effectively explains the sons of God's ability to move between divine and earthly realms, their authority in divine matters, and their role as witnesses to creation. The pre-existent souls theory offers unique insights into the spiritual nature of these beings. This interpretation particularly excels in explaining the personal relationship between divine and human realms, providing context for passages suggesting spiritual existence before physical manifestation. It addresses complex theological questions about the nature of consciousness and divine purpose in creation. The gap theory presents a sophisticated textual analysis of Genesis, offering a framework for understanding the chronology of creation. Its strength lies in resolving apparent contradictions in the creation narrative and providing context for the established presence of divine beings at creation's foundation. This interpretation harmonizes various biblical passages that suggest complexity in the creation sequence. These interpretations need not be mutually exclusive. The angelic nature described in the first theory could correspond with the pre-existent spiritual state proposed by the second, while both could exist within the chronological framework suggested by the gap theory. Together, they provide a comprehensive theological framework for understanding the nature and purpose of the sons of God. The narrative of rebellion among the sons of God represents a crucial turning point in religious texts, marking a significant shift in divine-human relations. This event, documented primarily in Genesis 6, presents profound theological implications that reverberate throughout sacred literature. According to biblical accounts, a portion of the sons of God deviated from their divine purpose. Genesis 6:1-2 records that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took wives from among those they chose. This transgression represented more than mere disobedience. It marked a fundamental breach of the established order between divine and human realms. The consequences of this rebellion appear in multiple religious texts. The Book of Enoch, while not included in the canonical Bible, provides additional context describing how these beings shared forbidden knowledge with humanity. Traditional Hebrew commentaries suggest this transfer of divine knowledge disrupted the intended progression of human development and divine revelation. Religious scholars identify several key aspects of this rebellion. First, it represented a direct challenge to divine authority, as these beings acted outside their prescribed roles. Second, it introduced unprecedented complications into human society, as detailed in Genesis 6:4. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days. Third, it necessitated divine intervention to restore proper order. The influence of this rebellion extended beyond its immediate context. Prophetic literature, particularly in Isaiah and Ezekiel, contains references to celestial beings who fell from divine favor. These passages often parallel the original rebellion of the sons of God, suggesting its lasting impact on religious understanding of divine-human relationships. Traditional religious texts emphasize that this event marked a crucial lesson about maintaining proper boundaries between divine and human spheres. The rebellion's consequences served as a warning about the dangers of transgressing established divine order and the importance of respecting divine authority. The interaction between the sons of God and humanity represents a complex theological narrative that fundamentally shaped religious understanding of divine-human relations. Biblical texts describe this relationship evolving through distinct phases, each carrying significant theological implications. Initially, these beings served as witnesses to humanity's creation, as documented in Job 38. Their role appears to have been that of observers and maintainers of divine order, operating within clearly defined boundaries. Early religious texts suggest they fulfilled specific divine purposes, serving as intermediaries between the divine and human realms while maintaining appropriate separation. The Book of Genesis describes a critical shift in this relationship. The sons of God's decision to interact directly with humanity marked a departure from their ordained role. This interaction, while initially appearing to bridge the divine-human divide, ultimately led to complications that religious texts present as problematic. Genesis 6 indicates that these interactions resulted in significant changes to human society and divine-human relations. Traditional religious commentaries, particularly from rabbinic sources, emphasize that this relationship carried profound implications for human spiritual development. The transfer of knowledge and influence, while potentially enlightening, occurred outside the divinely ordained process of revelation. These texts suggest that such direct interaction between divine and human spheres contradicted the established order of creation. The aftermath of these interactions, as recorded in various religious texts, led to a re-establishment of proper boundaries between divine and human realms. This separation, according to theological interpretation, served to restore the intended order of divine revelation and human spiritual growth. The Great Flood represents a pivotal moment in religious history, marking divine intervention in response to the deteriorating relationship between divine and human realms. Biblical texts present this event as a direct consequence of the interactions between the sons of God and humanity. Genesis 6:5-7 establishes the context for this intervention. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth. So the Lord said, I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race I have created. Religious scholars note that this declaration follows immediately after the account of the sons of God's interactions with humanity, suggesting a direct causal relationship. Traditional interpretations emphasize several significant aspects of this event. First, it represented divine judgment not only on human wickedness, but also on the disorder introduced by improper divine-human interactions. The flood served to cleanse the earth of the consequences of these transgressions, including the offspring mentioned in Genesis 6:4. Religious texts detail the comprehensive nature of this intervention. Noah's selection as the preserver of human lineage demonstrates divine intent to maintain humanity while eliminating corrupting influences. The flood narrative emphasizes the re-establishment of proper order, with clear boundaries between divine and human spheres. The aftermath of the flood brought significant changes to divine-human relations. Biblical texts indicate new covenants and regulations governing human society, suggesting a reformed approach to divine oversight of human affairs. Traditional commentaries note that post-flood interactions between divine and human realms followed more structured patterns, with emphasis on proper channels of divine revelation. This event's theological significance extends beyond its immediate context. It established precedents for divine intervention in human affairs and demonstrated the consequences of transgressing divinely established boundaries. Religious scholars view the flood as a defining moment that shaped subsequent understanding of proper divine-human relationships. The narrative of the sons of God continues to influence religious thought and theological understanding in contemporary times. Through careful examination of traditional texts and religious scholarship, we can identify several enduring implications for modern religious practice and theological study. The primary lesson drawn from these ancient accounts concerns the proper relationship between divine and human realms. Religious scholars emphasize how this narrative demonstrates the importance of maintaining appropriate boundaries in spiritual matters. Modern theological discourse frequently references these accounts when discussing proper approaches to divine revelation and religious authority. Contemporary religious interpretation focuses on several key aspects of this ancient narrative. The concept of divine oversight of human affairs, as demonstrated through the sons of God's original role, remains central to current religious understanding. Religious leaders and scholars often draw upon these accounts when discussing divine providence and spiritual guidance in modern contexts. The cautionary elements of this narrative hold particular relevance for contemporary religious instruction. Traditional religious education frequently references these accounts when teaching about the importance of following established religious practices and respecting divine authority. The consequences of the sons of God's transgression serve as an enduring lesson about maintaining proper spiritual order. In terms of religious scholarship, these ancient accounts continue to inform understanding of divine-human relationships. Modern theological studies examine these texts for insights into proper religious authority, divine revelation, and spiritual hierarchy. These interpretations help shape current approaches to religious leadership and spiritual guidance. The narrative also influences modern religious perspectives on moral and ethical behavior. Religious teachers often reference these accounts when discussing the importance of maintaining proper spiritual boundaries and following divine guidance through established religious channels. Throughout this examination of the Sons of God narrative, several key theological points emerge with clarity and significance. The evidence from ancient religious texts presents a coherent account of divine beings who played crucial roles in creation and early human history. The textual analysis reveals consistent documentation across multiple ancient sources. Biblical references, particularly in Job and Genesis, establish their presence at creation's foundation and their subsequent interaction with humanity. Supporting evidence from ancient civilizations provides additional context for understanding how these divine beings were perceived across different cultures and religious traditions. The three primary interpretations, the angel theory, pre-existent souls theory, and gap theory, each contribute valuable insights to our understanding. These interpretations, supported by traditional religious scholarship, help explain both the nature of these beings and their role in divine order. The narrative's progression, from their initial role as witnesses to creation through their eventual transgression and its consequences, demonstrates fundamental principles about divine-human relationships. The Great Flood serves as a pivotal moment, marking divine intervention to restore proper order and establish new boundaries for divine-human interaction. The Sons of God narrative continues to hold profound significance for modern religious understanding and practice. Its enduring relevance manifests in several key areas of contemporary religious life and theological study. In matters of religious authority and divine guidance, this ancient account provides essential principles for proper spiritual conduct. Religious institutions draw upon these teachings to establish and maintain appropriate boundaries in spiritual matters, ensuring that divine revelation proceeds through proper channels. For religious education, the narrative offers valuable lessons about respecting divine order and following established spiritual practices. Religious educators utilize these accounts to demonstrate the importance of maintaining proper relationships between divine and human spheres, emphasizing the consequences of transgressing these boundaries. The theological implications continue to inform modern religious scholarship, particularly in understanding the nature of divine oversight and spiritual hierarchy. Contemporary religious leaders reference these accounts when discussing proper approaches to spiritual authority and divine guidance. Furthermore, these ancient teachings provide valuable insights for addressing modern, ethical, and moral challenges. The principles derived from this narrative help shape current understanding of proper spiritual conduct and divine human relationships. The narrative of the sons of God represents one of the most profound theological accounts in religious history, offering timeless insights into divine human relationships. Through careful examination of ancient texts and traditional religious scholarship, we gain valuable understanding of proper spiritual order and divine guidance. As we reflect on these ancient teachings, their relevance to contemporary religious practice becomes evident. The principles they convey continue to guide proper approaches to divine revelation, religious authority, and spiritual conduct. This enduring wisdom, preserved through generations of religious scholarship, remains vital for understanding our place within divine order and maintaining appropriate spiritual relationships. This concludes our comprehensive examination of the Sons of God narrative. The entire analysis maintains strict focus on theological understanding through documented religious texts, avoiding speculation while providing valuable insights for contemporary religious practice. Your engagement matters deeply to our ongoing exploration of ancient wisdom and religious understanding. If you found value in this analysis, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth examinations of religious and historical topics. Share this video with friends and family who might appreciate these theological insights. Your likes and comments help us create more meaningful content and foster thoughtful discussion. We particularly welcome your thoughts on this topic. What aspects of the Sons of God narrative resonate most with your understanding? How do you see these ancient teachings applying to modern spiritual life? Join the conversation by leaving your comments below. Together, let us continue exploring these profound theological mysteries.